curious, mentorship's been such like a big part of your navigating these sort of integral moments, these pivotal moments. How do you personally vet for mentors, right? Like, because I feel like, you being, I don't want to say middle ground, but you being someone who is mentoring so many people, and knowing the importance that the work that you do with them has on their trajectory, and knowing, the industry of mentors that they could have fallen under. Like, we all know and have heard of like this, the absolute snake pit of mentorship that's out there. How do you then look up to other people, whether it's providing services formally or not providing services, and you reaching out to like, hey, I'd really like to kind of pick your brain. Mm-hmm. What is your process in appraising mentors for you, just given how far you've come, but also understanding the mentee-mentor relationship, being a part of it on the other side?
I ask my friends who can help me acquire this set of skills. I'm looking for very specific things. I'm not like, hey, I need a mentor. I say, for example, most recently I reached out to a bunch of friends. This is maybe 7 months ago. And I said, I need somebody who can help me with the following 3 things. I believe in the following order. Number 1, they need to help me more clearly communicate. I need to be able to share our message in a way that other people can repeat and understand. Number 2, I need to develop the skill of networking. It costs me so much energy to go to events and make friends and keep up with people. So I'm like, I need to either have that cost me less energy or find a different way to do it, because it's expensive for me mentally. And then finally, I need the skill of deal making, because right now we sell to one coach at a time. I need to learn how to sell to 100 or 1,000. I need to know who has the attention of 100 or 1,000, the influence of 100 or 1,000. And how do I craft the deal that our company doesn't currently already execute on without destroying the company? So I went out looking for those people. And when my friends would make recommendations, I'd say, what makes you think that that person is good at those things? And then they would share, and then I would interview those people. And I would offer all of them, hey, I would love to meet with you. After they met my friend, make an intro. I'm happy to pay for the meeting. I don't expect you to give me your time for free. Let's schedule a meeting and talk. And I just asked them in that meeting to ask me enough questions so that I could be clear that they can see my blind spots. And there's simple stuff to qualify to disqualify people right away. In one case, a guy got on the phone. He was on a walk. I'm on a Zoom screen. He's on a walk holding his phone. And I'm like, I don't mind that you go for a walk. I do mind that you don't make this call the most important thing on your schedule right now, like I do. So that guy was out. I had somebody who I met with who was just speaking way too mushroomy. Like, I'm into it. I'm down. But like, what did he say specifically? He said, I'm going to be your intellectual sparring partner, and we're going to fly through the cosmos, bro. I'm like, no, we're not. We're definitely not. So, and then there's people who are like, you get on the call and right away they're like, how many leads per month are you getting? I'm like, you're missing it. You're missing it.
Yeah, fucked it.
Yeah. I don't know how to set up an ads manager on Facebook. I don't know how to do it.
Why would you?
But that's my point, right? So I vet them like that.
Interesting. What's your hitting percentage? Like, I'm curious, like, because partially this is like a personal question, because other than watching you and Grenada and like having Don Saladino's phone number, like, I haven't really had formal mentorship. So I am really curious, because I see mentorship, from coach to whatever the fuck we are, and you being around for so much further. I see the pitfalls when you're talking mentorship. To mentor you at your business with your problems as specific and niche as they are, and imagine the price tag on that's pretty steep. Does that level have the same problems that the levels that we operate are? What is your batting average when going to this open marketplace to find a mentor? Like, does it clear out as you get to the top, or is it still okay?
It clears out when you start using recommendations from friends for people for specific skill sets. So the first 3 mentors I ever hired were no good. They were a waste. but that's okay. They weren't a waste in hindsight because I guess I know what to look for now. The first really good mentor I hired was pivotal in my life. He told me, like, he said, if you want to be better at business, you have to become a better person. Because I was just completely off my rocker.
What did that mean at the time? I'm curious because like you're probably of all the people I associate with, you have your shit together. I obviously don't know you but I'm so curious to see what was your brand of not having your shit together? What did that look like?
I felt like it was me against the world. And so I would act as if it was me against the world. So imagine you're speaking at an event and I'm at the event. I'm in the audience. Instead of saying, he's so fucking good, I need to learn how to do what he's doing. I should make friends with him and just let him rub off on me. I would be like, fuck that guy. I'm better than him. And that would be my mindset about it. And I might ask a question, but the question wouldn't be to give you the chance to prove you're excellent. It would be like a stupid gotcha. You know what I mean?
You're probably so good at that though. You were probably so good at that.
I was great at it.
Low key.
I'll give you a specific example that hindsight I would have done differently, but still feels cool to talk about. There was a podcast out there that it was 3 guys, 1 medical doctor, I think 2 physical therapists. I'm not exactly sure what the ratio was, but they're smart guys. Smarter than me, for sure. But they were angry at me because I was making claims that I didn't have evidence to back up in terms of like third-party peer-reviewed literature. I'm like, fuck your literature. Like, I'll ask for forgiveness. You can ask for permission all day. And I started listening to their podcast and just to see what it was like because they asked me to come on. And I'm like, oh, I see. This is kind of like the 3 of us are going to prove this guy's an idiot. So I said, can we get on a pre-podcast call? They said, sure. So we get on the call. And I was like, I'm just curious. And this is the part I would have done differently. I just wouldn't have had that pre-podcast call. I would have been prepared coming in and had much more common sense, common person language to diffuse anything that they would have thrown in my direction. But on the call, I was like, hey, I'm just curious before we get into the podcast. Any of you guys shower on a regular basis? And they were like, yeah, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, no, I'm just curious. Like, if you take a shower. And they said, yeah. I said, all of you? They said, yeah. And I said, that's so wild. They said, why? I said, because I can't imagine there's a world where you have peer-reviewed data that says that your shower actually makes you cleaner. That the water that comes out of your faucet is doing what other water somewhere else would do. That the soap that you use is doing what you claim that it does. And that there's any peer-reviewed empirical data that backs it, what you're doing when you decide the shower is objectively good. So I'm just curious why you fucking do it. And to say the least,
I know we're friends now, but I feel like we could have been we could have been really good friends then. That's amazing.
Yeah, probably. But we did not end up doing that podcast.
I love it. Does any part of you now? You said now you would do it different. My curiosity goes to: does any part of you regret that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
interesting.
You know why? I think energy it has its way of finding its way around the world. You know what I mean? And there are people out there who I've wronged without meaning to wrong them. And I could have done it better at the time. And those people are still people who, if you met them today, would be like, I'm not about that guy. But I'm not the same guy that they met 8-10 years ago. I don't think that way. I don't even think what I did was that bad back then, but I get it. Like there's an example of one guy in particular. Same thing, same topic. I was talking about how step-ups, if you can do 20 step-ups on your left with a given weight, and you can only do 2 on your right to the same height at the same weight, I don't need you to squat. I need you to build some balance in left leg and right leg. And this company, who you definitely know, would come at me. It's not your company. They would come at me in my comment section. And I would just say things like, if all of my breathing happened through my mouth, I would probably think the same thing that you do. I would say, like, if my education came from a rock, I would think the same thing that you do. Instead of just saying, hey, I understand where you're coming from, and maybe for the client that you're looking to help, you have a point. For the client I'm looking to help, we might just have to agree to disagree on this. I never went there. I just went straight to, you're so dumb that you're too dumb to know you're dumb.
I think there's wisdom in that. Now, I don't want to posthumously give you a pat on the back, but I want to be the friend on the devil of the shoulder that goes, yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah, fuck yeah. Because I think you skate a really interesting line, because you're and people who listen to the podcast know that I'm not in the spirit of gassing people up. You are probably one of the smartest people I've met, and not even in the fitness space. Like flat out intelligence. You're probably one of the smartest people I've ever met, because you can, and not just because of this, but you can navigate that shit so well. How do you manage this as well as the brand? Because I know that whatever you wrote was not exactly what you thought. Whatever the comment was that you look back, whatever you said in the shower, that was the C squad of what you could have brought to the table. Like, you could have absolutely obliterated, like, your mental resourcewulness would have you would have left these guys. Someone would have retired or quit from what they were doing. How do you? I mean, it sounds like, you've gone through these trials and tribulations, but even those examples, knowing you, saying that was you, sort of off the hinges. How do you navigate what you feel, what you think, your opinions, but also balance the idea that, look, I'm responsible for, these people, and my ramification or my actions have not only consequences to me, but consequences to them. Mm-hmm. Because, I've been in public with you in places where I'm like, okay, I think Pastuch picked up on that. That was a really dumb thing for that guy to say. And you just your user interface is so seamless, and you just skate right by it and navigate. Like, how to pick your battles really well now, I think. But I know that in your mind, there's the devil on the shoulder that just goes, fuck, I would have said this. How do you keep that? Like, what was the process for you to evolve from pre-podcast shower PubMed ID to I have a business and a family and I want to do all this? How do you navigate that space?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to thank you for that compliment, because, I say this because I mean it. You have a kind of intelligence that I envy when it comes to thinking about movement.
I'm still saying the shit, though. I'm still like, I feel like I'm where you were 10 years ago.
I think your genius is in one lane, and I think my genius is in an adjacent lane, and we can help similar people in different ways. That's what I think. But I see in you, I should say, a lot of the areas that I wish I was just naturally better at. So I appreciate you sharing that with me. The way that I navigate what you're describing is I have the whole conversation now before I say the first thing. That doesn't take me long, but I have the whole conversation. And then I'm like, well, that conversation doesn't go where I want it to go. How about this conversation? No, not that one either. And I keep going in my head until I'm like, I'm good with the way that conversation would go. It doesn't mean that I'm going to say something that you're going to be like, he's really nice and passive and agreeable. No, that's not what we're talking about. But I'm going to say the thing that you are prepared to hear. Whether you like it or not is another story. But I'm going to say the thing that I believe needs to be said in a way that you are willing to hear it. So, for example, instead of saying to somebody, no, that's fucking stupid. What are you talking about? That doesn't go anywhere, right? So what I might say to them is, I need to understand how you got there. And then they'll tell me, and now we can be in a conversation and I can say, oh, I see. So you're thinking XYZ would lead to 1, 2, 3. Is that right? And they say, yeah. I say, that's interesting. In my experience, it hasn't. So it could be that you're doing something I haven't considered yet, or that wouldn't work, but I'm open to you being right.
What catalyzed the change for you? What catalyzed the shift? Because like at a certain point when you're getting on these podcasts, you're someone who has enough success and enough cachet and enough know-how that you're right more times than you're wrong, right? Whatever that looks like, right? How do you go back to the drawing board and be like, you know what? Because it undoubtedly was serving you. What was it that that offered you that, like, kind of turned the lights on and say, hey, if we tighten up this communication loop, I'm actually going to get the result that I want? Like, you know, what was it? Was there a catalyst that changed that for you?
Yeah. First of all, that mentor I was talking about told me, if you want to be more successful in business, you got to become a better person. I was making 30 grand a year working 80, 90 hour weeks. That's not cool, right? Like, that's not a fun way to live. When your wife is making 55 grand as a teacher at the time, this is pre the better teaching job that we talked about earlier. She's making 55 grand and I'm coming home like at 10:30 at night, getting ready to go back to the gym at 5:15 in the morning, and I'm pulling in 30 grand with a doctorate. Like, that sucks. I'm talking about feeling emasculated. That sucks. And like, hey babe, is it okay if I buy this? Not that you would ever say no, but like that really sucks. So that mentor told me, he gave me and my business partner at the time a Myers-Briggs test. You familiar with it?
Yeah.
So he was like, all right, so the sweet spot is between this number and this number. The red flag is at this number. So let's just say the sweet spot is like -20 to 20, right? He's like, red flags come about at 50. He's like, Sean, you scored an 87 on everything. He's like, you are one of the most high potential, unhireable people I've ever met in my entire life. I'm like, all right, I'll take that. And I asked him to explain it to me. I'm like, I don't get it. I treat everybody exactly how I want to be treated. He goes, yeah, you do. The problem is you're a fucking psychopath and they're not. So they don't want to be treated like that. I said, what's an example of that? And he goes, what would I have to say to you to make you genuinely angry? I'm like, I don't think there's anything you could say to me to make me genuinely angry. He's like, right. What about sad? I'm like, what do you, no shot. You have to tell me someone in my family died.
Right. Dude, that's literally what I thought in my head.
Yeah. And he's like, okay. Do you realize that that's not how most people think? I'm like, no. He's like, I imagine for me to make you angry, I have to punch you in the face. And even then, it would have to hurt. And you would have to perceive me as a real threat to get angry and not to just laugh at me. I was like, yeah. He goes, that's not normal, man. He's like, for some people, you tell them the word no, and they're upset. You have to be able to understand where everybody is on that spectrum and talk to them the way that they want to be spoken to. So I spent a long time, like a year and a half, really making all of my energy, all of it, focus on how do these people want to be spoken to, and asking people, how did it feel when I said that? I want to make sure that that came across the way that I meant it. And being really intentional about my language. That was the big thing. Then as I got into hiring people and staffing people and leading people, I realized that I have a lot of blind spots. And I hired a leadership coach who was okay. But one of the things that she did that was really valuable is she did a 360 interview with everybody on staff. But the subject was me. It wasn't their performance. It was my leadership. And I told her, I was like, I want you to give me all of it. So I got all of it. And I was like, okay, this is helpful. And then ultimately in our company now, there are only 3 to 4 people of the 24 that I talk to on a regular basis. They protect everybody else from me. And not because I'm a bad person. Like I'd like to believe the team loves me at this point, or at least trusts me and supports me and wants me to be their leader. But a guy needs to fucking vent every once in a while. So I can get on a team with the leadership staff and say, hey, how the fuck does this happen? Without having to say it in a way that everybody else wants to hear it. You know what I mean? And they know this is Sean being Sean because we've trained on me being me in those settings.